What's going on YouTube? Bryce Builds It All here, your favorite aircraft mechanic, AMP-IA, and Part 147 instructor. And in this video, I'm going to tell the story about getting my IA, the treachery that came with that. I obviously had my first car accident, which I will get to, but I'm actually working on the Miata. I'm trying to get the door handles. I don't know if you heard that. I'm trying to get the door handles out because I'm going to black them out one time. Yay. Anyway, I'm working on the Miata to try to get those out, so I'm going to get the door panel off, I'm going to get the door handle out, and I'm going to black it out. And while I do that, oh, I missed. While I do that, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the story of how I got my IA, so stick around. So the beginning of the story is not terribly interesting or exciting. In fact, it's kind of boring. I got signed off on my 8610-1 from the local FSDO here in my region, which actually went pretty smooth. And then I tried self-studying for the test. Self-studying did not quite go the way I thought it would go, so I decided to go to Baker School of Aeronautics. I need a flathead screwdriver. Bag acquired. So anyways, I tried self-studying for the test, and it just wasn't quite going as well as I would hope it would have gone. I was a little worried that I wasn't going to pass the test the first time around. In fact, a friend of mine that I'm really close with had gone and failed. So I was talking to a buddy, and he said, you need to go to Baker's School. And I said, okay. So I booked a trip out to Baker School in Lebanon, however you want to say it, Tennessee, and I headed that way. I will be honest, there's not a lot to say about the road trip there. It was reasonably exciting. I hit a torrential downpour right about the middle of Arkansas. I drove from San Antonio in my truck. And the whole time I was, this is the first road trip I took in that truck by myself. I've been on road trips before by myself, but this was my first road trip in that particular truck, and it was my first new vehicle that I ever bought. So I was a little nervous about taking my truck to Tennessee, but, it had to be done because it's time for me to get my IA. And I remember having an uneasy feeling the entire time, kind of that, that worry that something bad is going to happen, that anxiety, if you will. But I made it all the way out there, went through Baker School's program, and was surprised at how easy they made the test. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Baker School of Aeronautics does not sponsor my channel. They have never sponsored my channel. I just went there for my IA, and it was such a pleasant experience that I will always say good things about them. I was there for 4 days, and in those 4 days, they gave me all the information I needed to pass the test with a 98 in about 15 minutes. So if you're thinking about getting your IA or doing a crash course, I do recommend them. They do a tremendous job at prep courses. They've been doing it a long time, and they're very good at it. Outstanding. You join me now on the floor, but I remember thinking at the end of that, after driving all the way to Tennessee, passing the test, and on the drive back, I left and I got home at like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, something like that, because I left there at almost noon, like 1 o'clock. And I remember thinking, like, the worst of it was behind me when I got home. So I set my alarm for very early in the morning, and I want to say I woke up at like 8 a.m. Right as the FSDO opened. I called the FSDO, and I scheduled an appointment to go meet with my airworthiness inspector, because if you haven't gotten your IA, it's a lot like unlike your AMP. When you pass the test for your AMP, they just send everything to the records branch, and they automatically send you your certificate when everything's done. But with your IA, you actually have to go meet with an airworthiness inspector at your FSDO to get the IA issued. So that's what I was doing. Voila, this will be black within the hour. And there you go. See if I can get this out of here. There is quite a lot of little pieces in there that you need to get out if you're going to soak this in muriatic acid and powder coat it, because it will melt. So just keep that in. Little post video edit from my sofa here. I don't normally do this, but if you soak your door handles in muriatic acid for 2 hours to remove the chrome, what you will effectively do is have perfect chrome and destroy the pot metal underneath it and ruin your door handles. Don't do that. Now I got to order new door handles for it. I'll try sandblasting them or sanding them to powder coat them. But yeah, don't soak them in muriatic acid. I learned that lesson a very, very hard way. But anyways, so all of that went very well. Like I said, I woke up at like 8 o'clock in the morning, immediately called the FSDO, went back to bed for a little bit, made an appointment. And me, my wife, and at the time, my youngest stepson, well, he's still my youngest stepson, but me, my wife, and my stepson, who at the time was probably, I don't know, 13 or 14, headed to the FSDO. And we are maybe 2 miles from the FSDO and 15 minutes from my appointment. And I'm about to exit onto 281 so I can get over to the San Antonio FSDO. And this car comes across that little white triangle thing because he didn't want to wait in the long line of cars in the weave lane, and he nailed the back of my truck. I mean, absolutely nailed it. And I'll put some photos up here. And the damage actually didn't look that bad, but I think it's because of where he hit. He hit sort of at the back of the cab and the door, and he was in a silver Ford Ranger. I obviously had a blue Silverado, and I remember a little piece of my door trim, like the little, like the bump guards that people don't actually accidentally give you door dings. That thing was stuck in his headlight, which was almost a foot above where that piece of trim is. And this is the first accident I ever had. So we call the police. We wait for the police to come by so I can get a police report, just obviously for insurance purposes. Nobody was hurt, nothing like that. Ended up being late to my appointment, but the day I got my IA issued is the day I had my first ever car accident, excluding like hitting deer. Like I hit a deer once or twice in the past, but I don't really count that as an accident because it's a freak thing that things happen. But anyways, so yeah, I had my first car accident the day I got my IA, which at this point was 6 years ago. I don't know. I'll put the exact date and put it in a little title page of how long I've been in IA. But I remember thinking, like, that's just par. I go out and I achieve something pretty grandiose for myself, and of course, what happens? I get in my first car accident. But I've been in IA ever since. It's been smooth ever since. That was the really the only piece of tumultuary I've ever had attached to my IA was coming back from Baker School and having that happen. So I'm going to go ahead now and finish doing these. I got to get the other one out. I got to get it in muriatic acid. I will powder coat them black just like I did the deck plates, and I will get them back in the car. This car is well on its way to being completely blacked out. There's some more things I got to fix, all in preparation for my favorite car show that I go to every year, the Hill Country Rally for Kids up in Dripping Springs, Texas. I've been going to that car show for like 12 years now. Besides the point, you didn't ask. So if you enjoyed the story, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave us a like, leave us a comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow me on Instagram. There's lots of photos of Gwen the Miata in there. Join the Discord, go build something, and be easy.